recording of how to make albondiga soup. This is for my children, my nephews, my nieces, and any friends that would like to enjoy the recipe. We're going to start off with a little bit of oil in a nice pot, probably about 2 tablespoons of oil, I would say. Start heating that up. And then over here, we're going to get, I've put in about 4 or 5 Roman tomatoes. Over here I've got my meat, some lean ground beef. You always want to use lean ground beef so that your albondigas aren't too greasy. I've put a little bit, just put a pinch of salt and pepper. And I'm cooking about 1.5 pounds, and I put 2 eggs in here. So you want to put that in a mixing bowl. I'm going to go get some onions. I'll be right back. I put some tomato. I'm going to put some garlic. Cutting up some garlic now. And I'm using elephant garlic today, but I would say you probably just need about 3 cloves of garlic in here. You also want to get some onions. If you're using small onions, just use 1 onion. If you're using a big onion, I would just put half of it in there in the blender. What you're making in the blender is actually just a foundation for your broth. I like to salt my condiments here so that this has some taste. And then I throw a little bit of cilantro. I've already washed the cilantro. It's been sitting here airing out.
About how much cilantro?
I would just say probably just a little bunch, maybe like a tablespoon, 2 tablespoons.
And how about in salt?
And in salt, I would put about a tablespoon of salt, pinch of salt.
And how many servings is this going to make?
This is probably going to make about, I would say it'll feed a family of 4, depending on how many albondigas you all want. But anyways, what you do is you take the main ingredients that I've put in here, which is tomato, garlic, onions, and a little bit of cilantro. And I'm going to puree this. My cordless and you want to blend it so it's really, really smooth. Put the mozzarella in. And we're just going to sprinkle a little bit of mozzarella into our mix so that we can get a little bit of thickness in here. And as I'm doing that...
Now, can we use flour for a regular person that usually has flour?
You could. I prefer to use mozzarella just because you got to be a little bit careful, because when you keep the mozzarella for too long in your cupboard, it might get a little spoiled, so you got to make sure that you are checking it and that your mozzarella has kept its consistency. I'm going to pour a little bit of the juice into the albondigas. And as I'm doing that, I will be mixing. That's the mixture, and that's why you've put a little bit of the corn flour in here, so that when you pour in the juice, it's going to give it flavor, but at the same time it's going to create a consistency with that flour that you put in. What you want to do is, after you've mixed it, you want to just keep it, make sure that it sits for a while so that all that taste that you've put in has stayed in. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here and I'm actually going to cut some tomato. You want to dice some tomato, and you want to dice some onion, and you want to put a little bit of that in your broth so that you not only have the juice, but you also have a little bit of the vegetables in your broth. I've got the onions, the tomatoes, I've got some garlic that I've already peeled, and I'm going to press the garlic into my pot here so that I can start the broth. And I like to do my garlic first. That way the garlic gets a little bit of a toasty flavor to it. And then we're going to bring our vegetables here that we have already started. You know, saute your garlic a little bit. As we do that, we're going to throw in our vegetables, our onions, our tomatoes, and ooh, the smell begins. Starts smelling like Nana's house. And you just saute it to the point where, you know, you kind of crystallize your onion. Your onion kind of caramelizes a little bit. I like to keep it on high. That way, you know, the pot's really hot by the time that you pour your broth in there. So, you know, your garlic has sort of sauteed. And now I'm just going to take the broth, my base, I'm going to pour that in there. And I'm actually going to put probably about another blender full of water in there, because you want to have enough broth to where your soup has, you know, a lot of albondigas, but we actually have a soup. So for this big of a pot, I'm probably a little bit over half of a pot of water with what I've already put in here. And so we're going to bring that to a boil in the albondigas. And basically what you do is you just grab, you know, a good size of meat that you've prepared, and you take it and you just make a little ball about that size. I like to use gloves when I'm doing my albondigas because the meat by now is very sticky, and you know, it's just a little bit more sanitary to do that. That meat has been cooking in there, and you know, since the meat has, you know, all that egg and all those spices, you know, it's got a lot of flavor to it. And so it's kind of neat that by the time you finish the last albondiga, which I'm about to pour in here, your soup is basically done. I usually take about half of a cilantro and I just sprinkle that at the top. Cilantro always gives it that nice little earthy flavor. Some people like it, some people don't. I know that we use that spice a lot, and it's always good to have around. You know, we put it in our salsa and put it in, and so basically that's it. That is your albondiga soup, and Susie and I are going to have it tonight. We're going to enjoy it. It's starting to get cold outside, but you know, great, great, great